All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Perfectly Imperfect. Today we are going to work on different ways in which you can work with patterns of procrastination and perfectionism. I want to tell you that on each and every one of these calls, we're going to follow the same different format. We're going to learn a little bit about the issue or the topic. We're going to do a quick polyvagal exercise that is meant to specifically address your autonomic nervous system and the activation that comes with that topic. We're going to do some clinical EFT tapping, both as a group and we're going to give one individual the opportunity to tap with me for a little bit. And then we're going to do some guided breath work that is meant to integrate the experience and then follow it up with some ideas on different behavior design practices that you can utilize in your day-to-day life in the rest of this month to be able to take the different feelings and energy that you get within this call and apply it in your everyday life. So that's going to be the typical format, and we're going to follow that exactly as we're going to follow that today. All right. This is being recorded. You are welcome to have your camera on or your camera off. Now, I certainly appreciate cameras on because then it feels like I am not talking to the void. So if you want to keep your camera on, beautiful. If you're not comfortable with your camera on, I'm perfectly happy that you're here and I thank you for being here, and you are allowed to not do that. All right. So if you need some privacy, you get it. All right. Participation in all activities is completely 100% voluntary. If I ask for participation or I ask for a volunteer or I ask for something, do not feel the pressure that you need to do that. This is a safe space where we're working on deeply personal issues. And so I want you to do what feels best and what feels right for you. All right. So I thank everybody for being here, and let's go ahead and start talking about perfectionism and procrastination. Now, we've all experienced these things in our life, myself included. It happens a lot. And from the outside looking in, perfectionism and procrastination look like they're two very different things. But what I want to offer is that they're not really all that different. What they really stem from is nervous system dysregulation, being trapped in fight or flight or in freeze. That's part of the polyvagal autonomic nervous system theory, right? There's the ventral vagal, which is the social engagement, calm, relaxed, ready to engage and learn. That's the state we're looking for. But there are two different other types of nervous system activations, and one of them is fight or flight, right? People with perfectionistic tendencies tend to be caught in fight or flight, the constant activity, constant movement, constantly doing things. But it's not safe to put it out in the world so it doesn't happen. People in procrastination are also in a sympathetic nervous system state, but they're in freeze, where it's not safe to make a mistake, and so I'm not going to do anything. So that way I don't put anything out into the world and I stay the same. So while they're both protective strategies that are designed to manage perceived threats to social safety, they look very different from the outside, but when you're working with them from the inside, they are very, very similar. And they are not character flaws. All right. I want to repeat that. They are not character flaws. They are things that can be worked with. They're not unchangeable. What you really want to do is start addressing the root causes. And you want to start really working with your autonomic nervous system and sending it signals of safety, sending it signals of calm. So that way you're going to be able to move forward and able to do this. So we're going to approach this from an autonomic nervous system regulation standpoint, and we'll put the behavioral approaches at the end. A lot of times we stick the behavioral approaches first, but if the nervous system doesn't feel safe, if your body does not feel safe, you're going to fight those behavioral changes. And if you're using your conscious to fight your subconscious, you're going to win for a little bit of time, but eventually you are going to lose and you're going to lose hard. All right. So it's better to just work with what is causing this sense of not feeling safe, addressing those things first, finding what does make you feel safe. And then you can start applying some behavioral approaches to mitigate whatever patterns of behavior you have, which have been established. Right? So I always like to have a little nature theme with each one of these. And so everything that I've put out associated with this and all the accompanying resources all have bamboo in it. All right. And bamboo symbolizes imperfection. There's different colors of bamboo. There's different nodes. Some are short, some are longer, right? It bends without breaking. It's hollow and yet it's strong. And each little thing of bamboo, all of it looks different, but it's perfect in its own unique and individual way. So we're going to embody bamboo in this call as a way in which to use a symbol from nature that you are allowed to be imperfect. You are allowed to be different than the other people. And that does not prevent you from being strong. It does not prevent you from growing. So we're going to make sure that you think about that, and everything associated with that is going to come through in this call. So let's get started and get our nervous systems revved up and warmed up right away. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick polyvagal practice. Now, this is based on polyvagal theory, which I've talked about earlier, and this exercise is intended to interrupt it's intended to interrupt procrastination and perfectionism patterns, right? The ways in which this works, here are the neurobiological effects. So you're going to do things physically because the physical things that you do send signals to your nervous system and can switch it. Right? So normally in your day-to-day life, the nervous system kind of sends you a signal and your behavior responses. Well, that can work the other way. That can go back the other way. So we're going to do that with a little breath work. The breath work is going to have extended exhalations. If you exhale longer than you inhale, it sends a signal of safety to your autonomic nervous system. That's just a nice thing to know. If you're ever feeling overwhelmed, taking a deep breath, I mean, you hear that all the time, take a deep breath, but I see people who are really upset, like it comes from right up here and then right out. So they breathe in deep, but then they exhale quick. It's the exact opposite. All right. If you can control your inhale and lengthen your exhale, that's going to send a signal of safety to your nervous system. We're also going to engage your face. All right. We're going to give a nice soft smile, send signals that you are in a safe place as well. So we're going to do a little facial engagement here. We're going to do a little bit of touch, like just touching certain areas of your body. As we know, touch can calm people down. So we're going to allow the touch to come into play. And we're also going to orient to your environment, right? Because everybody right now is in an environment in which they're not physically threatened, right? If you are, please get off this call and go somewhere else, all right? Do not stay in a place that you're not safe. But when you're stuck in a pattern of perfectionism or procrastination, you are not going to feel safe. So sometimes it helps just to orient yourself to where you actually are and what is actually happening. And the combination of those things can shift you from feeling really activated in one of these patterns to being calmer in one of these patterns and able to make a conscious choice about how you are going to decide to move forward. Potential uses for this before an avoided task. All right. If there's something you need to do that you have not been doing, you can spend 60 to 90 seconds engaging in this and see if that makes a difference. Anytime you get stuck in that perfectionism paralysis, all right, when you're making the 300th edit to this document, all right, when you're doing all those things and it's just like, all right, what if I just spent 60 to 90 seconds and did this instead and then decided if I need to make this additional change or if I don't? When you feel the urge to abandon a project, quit, maybe you could try this before you make that decision. You can also use it as something you do right when you wake up to set the tone for your autonomic nervous system when you rise. You can also do it closer to bed. If you have those racing thoughts at the night, you can't stop thinking. These are all different areas in which you can apply this. Right? Now, I don't want you taking notes on any of the steps in this because I'm going to send those steps out in the resource document that will show up in your inbox 2 hours after this call concludes tonight. Right? All I really want you to do is be able to experience this right in the moment. So here we go. This is 60 to 90 seconds. We want to make these things short and quick so they're able to be applied at any point in time where you start to feel those perfectionism or procrastination patterns starting to take over. So here you go. Get seated in a comfortable position, feet grounded, spine tall but relaxed. And just notice what's happening in your body right now. You feel tense, frozen, scattered, calm. Fine. You're not trying to change anything right now. You're just noticing. And as you notice, you can take one hand and put it over your chest where your physical heart resides. And you can put another hand on your belly, activating that touch. And that touch can help to calm the nervous system just like that. I just want you to inhale for a count of 4 while you push your belly hand out first. Hold for 2 and bring a slight smile to your face. Exhale for 6. 2 more times. In for 4. Hold and smile. Exhale for 6. Last one. In for 4. Hold and smile. Exhale for 6. You can take your arms down, your hands down, and just orient to your environment. Notice 3 neutral or pleasant things that you can see. Notice 2 things that you can feel. It could be like clothes on your back, feeling of whatever you're sitting on, your feet on the floor, orienting to what's around you. And then just notice one thing that you can currently appreciate about yourself, even with your imperfections. Maybe even one of your imperfections. And that's it. Stop and notice how your body feels now compared to how it felt 90 seconds ago. Okay? Remember, this can be applied at any time you start to feel those patterns. And in the resource sheet, you click on it, and the graphic design in that is intended to be saved to your cell phone. It's fit for cell phone windows. So you can save that to your phone and you can use that anytime that you need to. You could even make it your wallpaper if you really, really felt like it. Okay. But that's it. Nice, quick 60 to 90-second reset. And now that we've had the opportunity to reset for a little bit, let's start talking about procrastination and perfectionist and this different patterns that we can work on using clinical EFT. So if you got your notebook, you got something to write with, this is where I want you to start making individual notes about how these patterns show up for you. Because I could design a series of tapping statements towards general patterns, and I kind of have. I'm trying to split the middle here. But as we know, or as you might not know, the difference between clinical EFT and general EFT is that we use your specific thoughts, feelings, moments, body sensations, body locations, and the things that show up specifically for you. And you will experience a difference if you use your individual things compared to something else that is just guiding you. But we've got a lot of people on the screen, so I'm not going to do individual things with everybody. So I'm trying to split the difference here. So we're going to use EFT Mad Libs, all right? I'm going to give you a fill in the blanks, and then you're going to fill them in with your own thoughts, emotions, body sensations, and body locations, all right? I'm going to go through lots of different things. Ideally, what you walk out of is at least one thought that connects with one emotion, that connects with one location, that has specific sensations that you feel. Those four things, right? Thought, emotion, location, sensation. Now we're going to do three different rounds. So if you have two or three of these things, by all means, keep them, right? Because you can use them. But we're shooting for at least one. And I'm just going to go through the general patterns that I tend to see when I work with people who are working with procrastination and perfectionist patterns. Okay. So let's start with the common thoughts that come along with this. And these aren't just thoughts, these is usually rumination thinking. These tend to be negative, they tend to be repetitive, and they tend to play on a loop, and they are not empowering. Right? But instead of pretending that they're not there, let's at least acknowledge exactly what they are. And the first common rumination thinking pattern that shows up in these two different patterns in procrastination and perfectionism is that one mistake ruins everything. If I make this one mistake, it's over. Another one is there's just no point in trying. I know I'm going to make a mistake and it's going to ruin it. So why would I even try? Right? Two sides of the same coin, right? Other common rumination thinking patterns associated with this are catastrophizing. If it isn't perfect, people are going to judge me. Or if I make a mistake, it's devastating and I always make them. So why try? I'm just going to screw it up anyway. And these can tend to lead to identity-based self-criticism. I should be better than this. Common perfectionism one. Who am I to think I can do this? Common procrastination one. I'm not good enough to do this, so I'm not going to do it. Now, those are just common patterns. Maybe one of them struck a nerve. Maybe one of them is like, oh, I recognize that one. But try to get one or two, or maybe even three of your common rumination thinking patterns associated with this. Now, we tend to think that our thoughts are what comes first, and our thoughts are what drive our behaviors. I actually think it's the exact opposite. I think it's the sensations that come from the body that influence our thoughts. And if experience a series of sensations, we tend to label that cognitively as an emotion. So we're kind of working backwards here, but this is where most people can access first. So let's see if you can find the emotional pattern that connects with your specific thoughts. And here are some general ones. I'm going to give four for perfectionism first. These are the four general ones that I tend to see. Perfectionism, number one, shame. right? Feeling like a fraud underneath the perfect facade. People tend to feel that in their solar plexus. It tends to be very dense, or they'll feel it in their lower stomach or even their pelvic area. So as you start to identify your emotions, see if you can identify the place you usually feel it in your body and the sensations that come along with it. The second typical pattern that is seen within perfectionism as it relates to the emotions is feeling unsafe. Only you can only feel safe or loved when standards are perfectly met. People with that pattern tend to feel a lot of tension in their neck, their shoulders, jaws clenching. Those are the typical locations and sensations associated with that pattern. Another one that shows up a lot with perfectionism is grief. For the unlived life, the loss of joy, the experience, sacrifice to all of that constant effort that will never be enough. That tends to come through in the chest and the throat, tightness in the chest, restriction in the throat. And the final common pattern I'd like to share with perfectionism is anger. But this is usually not anger directed out towards anybody. It's self-directed anger that comes in a form of pushing through relentless self-control. Very rarely is it directed out anywhere else. It is usually internally directed, and that results in muscle tensions, headaches, migraines, clenched teeth, tension in the jaw. All that anger is just turned around. But that's perfectionism and procrastination. While they maybe while we said they're two sides of the same coin, but they come across differently. The emotional patterns, sensations, and locations tend to change. So with procrastination, there tends to be a feeling of overwhelm or feeling flooded. That often comes up in the head or the chest. With the pressure in the chest or in the head, there's a lot of swirling and chaos. It feels chaotic. Another common emotional pattern in procrastination is disappointment. Disappointment related to anticipation of the future where you know it's not going to work. So there's a lot of emptiness in the chest. Sometimes there's hunching of the shoulders, sort of defeated and small. The first one was overwhelm, overwhelm for procrastination. The third one for procrastination tends to a feeling of being disconnected, of ungrounded, like you're floating. A lot of times they'll feel empty in the chest, empty in the solar plexus. Again, hunching of the shoulders, feeling caved in, concave, making yourself smaller. But it can also come through as feeling disconnected. Oh, I just said that one. It can also come, the last one is a sense of rebellion. Rebellion against control from outside forces and rebellion against you controlling yourself. Sort of a fight against the perceived expectations. This one can come through as tension in the jaw. I've also seen it come through as like heaviness, heaviness in the body. Like it's hard to move, it's hard to take action. So, those are just 8 different common emotional patterns with common locations and common sensations. What I'm hoping for you is that you've identified at least one pattern for you What thought leads to what type of emotion, which leads to what body location, which leads to what sensation? One, two, three, four. If you don't have all four, it's okay. We can work with that. If you've got all four, beautiful. If you've got all four, you can string them together for three different ones, even better. But you have enough to start tapping right now. All right. So as you finish up your notes, I'm just going to talk a little bit about how these thoughts, emotions, locations, and sensations tend to show up once they're repeated over and over and over and over and over again. You repeat these thoughts and sensations over again, they become beliefs. Now, these beliefs are not necessarily true, but they can become true when repeated enough, and then the behaviors that follow them are going to make them true. So, common belief patterns associated with perfectionism. My worth is measured by my performance and my achievements. I can only accept myself when the standards are completely and totally met. Nothing short of perfection is acceptable. Mistakes and imperfections lead to catastrophic consequences, total rejection. And here's my favorite one. This is responsibility. I am responsible for ensuring perfect outcomes in each and every situation, and it is my job. That one rings pretty true. All right. I'm going to be a little honest there. Right? That's my, that's my belief pattern like when it comes to perfectionism. But there are procrastination ones as well, and they also do have to deal with self-acceptance. I can't do it perfectly, so I shouldn't start at all, or I shouldn't keep going. They can come with those overwhelmed feelings can become, I lack the skills, intelligence, creativity to do this. I can't do this. There can also become a sense of future disconnection from the self related to procrastination. I work better under pressure, so I'll just wait. I'll have more motivation later. The consequences won't really matter. Or that resistance, that rebellion can become, I shouldn't have to do this because other people expect it. This isn't my priority. If I do this, I'll lose my freedom, my authenticity, my independence. So these emotions layer upon each other, they become belief structures. But where does all this stuff come from? And for each individual person, it's different, but there are patterns. So some of the common patterns associated with perfectionism are critical parenting or authority figures. Anytime there was harsh criticism or high expectations for each and every task, that can create this pattern. Sometimes the perfectionism comes from a comparison-based identity. If you're compared to your siblings, your peers, or to any idealized standards, that can start this pattern. Here's one, early success in labeling. Being praised for being smart and talented and gifted. That all sounds great, right? It all sounds great, but when you hear you're so smart, you're so talented, you're so gifted, and then you get later and you don't do something right away, that must mean there's something wrong with you. Which is why when you're talking to kids and you're providing feedback, you always want to praise the effort that went into it. Not their qualities, but their effort. Growth mindset is the book is Mindset by Carol Dweck, I want to say. But like if you're working with younger children or you have children of your own or grandchildren, really praising the effort that went into something helps them to avoid this pattern. Not you're so smart, you got an A in your test. You must have really worked hard and paid attention in class. You know, just that slight shift can make a big difference. Or if you had unpredictable or chaotic environments at some point in time in your life. So the only thing you control was what you could do. And so all that focus went in there. That can create these patterns. For procrastination, a lot of the common origins associated with this are conditional love and approval, right? You lead to, it becomes a fear of evaluation, a fear of measurement that leads to avoidance. Because once that comes in, I'm going to get judged. I'm going to get in trouble. So why do it in the first place? Because it doesn't matter anyway. Any early experiences of failure that were connected with shame and ridicule, that can start to kick off these patterns. There's also, this one's a little tricky. There can be a subconscious secondary gain here. People who really like the pressure, the adrenaline, the dopamine hit. You put yourself in a short time frame and you get all that stuff. So I'm gonna put myself in that over and over and over again to get that pop. It can also become a built-in excuse for failure, maintaining a self-image. Like, if I would have tried, I would have succeeded, but I didn't really try, so it's okay. You know? So I don't know exactly what your individual origins are, and you may not know right now. Or maybe you do. But one of the best ways to get better insights into that is to do some tapping. Okay? So at this point in time, everybody can take a drink of water if you have some. You can put your pens and pencils down because you're going to need both hands. Take a look at your notes. If you got your thoughts, your emotions, your body location, and your body sensations, you're going to be ready to go here. So here we go, tapping on the side of your hand. All right. Even though I have this, and insert your thought. What thought do you think? And it makes me feel, insert your emotion. And I can feel that in where's your location? What location do you feel? And it feels like this. What sensations can you give it? The more detailed, the better. That is where I am right now. And that's okay because I'm working on it. Top of the head, what thought do you think? Eyebrow point, where do you feel it? Side eye point, what emotion does it bring up? Under eye point, how exactly does it feel? Describe that sensation. Back to the thought, under nose. Back to the emotion, under mouth. How does it make you feel? Collarbone points, let's hit them all. What's the thought? What's the emotion? What's the location? Name as many sensations as you can. How exactly does that feel? And then underarm points, name that thought one more time. Stop tapping, take one cleansing breath. And back to the side of your hand. Let's keep going. All right. You can stick with the same thought, or you can switch to the next one. It's up to you, whatever you got. Here we go. Even though I think this, and it makes me feel this emotion. What emotion? And I can feel it in my blank. Where do you feel it? And it feels like this. What are the sensations? I am open to the possibility that this no longer serves me. This is outdated self-care, and I'm ready to lay it down. All right, top of the head, acknowledge that thought. What do you think? Eyebrow point. How does it feel? What's the emotion? Side eye point. Where do you feel that in your body? What is the location? Under eye point. Name as many the sensations as possible. How exactly does it feel? Under nose point. What's that thought? Under mouth point. What is that emotion? Collarbone points. Let's hit them all together, all four. What is the thought? What's the emotion? What's the location? Say it out loud. How exactly does it feel? Feel it in your body right now. Say it out loud. Underarm points. Repeat that thought one more time. Stop tapping. Take a cleansing breath. Allow that integration. If you have yawns, let them go. If you have tears, let them flow. If you have anything else, just accept what it is and let's do one more round. Here we go. Side of the hand. All right. You can use any of the patterns you have before. If you've got number three, let's do number three. Here we go. Even though I have this thought and it makes me feel blank, what's the emotion? And I feel it in my blank, what's the location? And it feels like this. Describe that sensation. Feel that sensation. I accept these feelings. I accept myself. Even if I have these feelings, they come from somewhere. They're not mine. I picked them up. I may have been carrying them for a long time, but they are not mine. And I am open to the possibility of laying these down. All right, top of the head. Give me the thought though. Lean into the negative. How bad is it? Eyebrow point. What emotion does it bring up? Side eye point. Where in the body can you feel that? Where does it show up for you? Under eye point. Give me how exactly it feels. Feel it now. Describe it with those words. Say it out loud. Under nose. Remind yourself of that thought. What is it? Under mouth. What's the emotion? Collarbone points. Let's go all four. What is the thought? What is the emotion? How does it feel? Where do you feel it? What parts of your body? What location does that show up? And how exactly does that feel? Describe that sensation out loud. If you say it out loud, it loses its power as you tap on it. Lean into it. Lean into the negative. It's not easy, but it is cleansing. Underarm points, say that thought one more time. And this time, I want you to stop tapping. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to take a breath and keep your eyes closed. Just noticing your breath is enough right now. The next time you get a chance to inhale, I want you to inhale through your nose while you push your belly out first. So your belly goes out before your ribs and your chest expand. The next time you get an opportunity to inhale, not only push your belly out, but visualize your lower back expanding. This is going to deepen and slow your breath, providing an extra layer of safety and security for your body. The next time you have a chance to exhale, make it slightly longer than your inhale, whatever feels natural and comfortable. And then just allow your body to take over this rhythm. Your body knows how to breathe. You don't have to think about that anymore. And because you don't have to think about your breath, you can think about relaxing your tongue. You can place it on the floor of your mouth or behind your two front teeth. It doesn't matter. Whatever feels more natural and comfortable, but just notice how it releases tension in your jaw, which relaxes your neck, which relaxes your shoulders, which may even bring your shoulders down and back like a quarter of an inch. And then just forget about your breath and your tongue altogether. Your body knows how to repeat this pattern, but keep your eyes closed. We talked a lot about the possible origins of where this pattern came from. Ask your body what it's been holding on to. What has it been protecting you from? You may get an image. You may get a moment in time. You may get different sensations and locations in the body. Sometimes people even get images of younger versions, younger parts of themselves around the age when they may have taken this on. See if your body's willing to release just a little bit more about where this pattern came from. Moments, younger parts, images. Whatever comes up is what's meant to come up. And when you're ready and your body's ready, you can slowly open your eyes, orient back to where you are. And if you had an insight as to where this might have come from, it'd be an excellent time to jot that down quickly. Some people like to draw, some people like to sketch, some people like to journal, some people like to take bullet point notes. I don't know who that would be. That would be me. But just record that insight because that insight is a potential avenue for your future self growth related to this. something else to tap on. And we've got a little bit of time to do some individual tapping right now. So if anybody has a moment, a younger part, or something that came up that would like to do 10 to 15 minutes of tapping with me, you can share it in the chat or you can use your hand feature and raise your hand. I'm just giving anybody the opportunity that would like to work on this a little bit more. And remember, do not, all right, we got one. Anastasia, why don't you unmute?
There we go.
Where'd you go? All right. What did you get, Anastasia?
Somewhere around everything I say, my mom being like, "No, that's not now, not like that, not." Just constantly getting um like kind of violently being shut down. Like,
You said violently shut down.
yeah, like just pinching my leg or like getting this very ugly face at me or um yeah, not in a nice.
Yeah. How did that feel in the body now or then? Like, did
I
you
felt lots of tightness and lots of the when you mentioned like not like don't even move, like just feeling frozen, like
frozen?
not to do anything because
How intense does all that feel right now, Anastasia?
like 9.
9. Okay. Let's do some tapping on that. Mhm. See if we can knock a few numbers off that 9. And everybody else, if you want to tap along, if you want to write down how intense your origin moment was to track it, you will get benefits from tapping along with Anastasia, and you will also help her with your collective energy and your collective tapping. So it'll help everyone if you tap along with me and Anastasia. So here we go, Anastasia. You ready?
Yeah,
Even though
even though
I got this image of my mom,
I got this image of my mom,
she would say things like, not now,
she would say things like not now or not like that.
not like that. But that was my mom,
That was my mom,
and I am me.
and I am me.
And right now,
And right now
I'm focusing on how I feel.
I'm focusing on how I feel,
Even though
even though
I was violently shut down,
I was violently shut down.
pinch my leg,
Pinch my leg,
give me an ugly face.
and give me ugly face.
It was too much then,
It was too much then.
but maybe it's not too much now.
Maybe it's not too much now.
I'm allowing these feelings now
I'm allowing these feelings now
so I can work with them
so I can work with them
and I can process them.
and I can process them.
Even though
Even though
I feel this tightness,
I feel this tightness,
tightness in my body,
tightness in my body,
and I feel frozen,
and I feel frozen,
frozen in my body.
frozen in my body.
But I'm allowing my body to feel
I'm allowing my body to feel
however it needs to feel
however it needs to feel
as I work on this.
while I work on this.
All right, top of the head. But mom,
Mom,
eyebrow point. Not now.
not now,
Side eye point. Not like that.
not like that.
Under eye point. Violently shut down.
Heart and being shut down.
Under mouth. Under nose. Pinching my leg.
into my leg.
Collarbone point. Ugly face.
Ugly face.
I feel that in my body. Collarbone points.
Feel that in my body.
I feel tight.
I feel tight.
I feel frozen.
I feel frozen.
Not like that.
I like that.
Not now.
No,
Violently shut down.
shut down.
Underarm points. My mom.
No,
All right, Anastasia, stop tapping, close your eyes, take a breath in through the nose, belly and back, nice long exhale. Relax the tongue and drop the shoulders. Check back in with the body, that tightness, that frozen feeling. See if that has shifted or changed or moved. You might feel it more in one area as opposed to another.
yeah, I feel it in my throat.
Hmm. How does it feel in your throat?
It feels, um, yeah, just tight. Like the words come like just don't even say anything. Don't.
Eyes closed and take another breath. Now go back to those moments with your mom. Now, sometimes when we tap, more details will show up. Maybe a specific moment or maybe a collection of them. You had a few details before how you were violently shut down. Do you notice anything else related to those moments? Anything else that maybe a younger part of you is feeling now?
I remember I was sitting in the car and I'm on the back seat and she's driving and she looks at me with that ugly face and pinches me and there's a friend of mine beside me and this feels horrible to be in that situation.
What was your friend's name?
I don't remember her face or her name.
Okay. How did it feel? It said it felt horrible. Is there an emotion that goes along with that?
Like pain, I think. Or like we would say vergüenza in Spanish. I think it's shame.
Gee, okay. Yeah, just got. Let's tap on that. Here we go. Even though
I
I remember being in the car,
remember being in the car
in the back seat,
in the back seat.
mom turned around,
Mom turned around,
gave me that ugly face,
gave me that ugly face,
and pinched me.
pinched me.
But that was then,
That was then,
and this is now,
and this is now.
and I'm safe now.
And I'm safe.
Even though
Even though
I was in the back seat
I was in the back seat
next to my friend,
next to my friend,
and she saw.
and she saw.
It felt horrible,
It was horrible.
felt shameful.
What she felt
But right now,
right now.
I'm allowing myself
I'm allowing myself
to go back to this moment,
to go back to this moment.
to feel it again,
Really,
so I can release these emotions.
so I can release these emotions,
Even though
even though
I feel that in my throat,
I feel it in my throat.
it's tight,
Like,
like no words can come out.
like no words can be.
But I'm allowing my throat to feel
I'm allowing my throat to feel
however it needs to feel.
however it needs to
as I work with this emotion,
I don't work with this emotion.
with my body,
Mhm.
to fully and completely release this.
To fully and completely release this.
Top of the head. I was in the back seat.
I was in the backseat.
Mom gave me the ugly face.
And gave me the ugly face.
Side eye. She pinched me.
Pinched me.
Under eye. My friend saw.
My friend saw.
Stay there. It felt horrible.
Felt horrible.
It felt shameful.
Felt shameful.
Under nose. In the back seat.
In the backseat.
Under mouth. Mom gave me the face
In the face.
and pinched me.
Pinched me.
It felt horrible.
It felt horrible.
It felt shameful.
Felt shameful.
I feel that in my throat.
I feel that in my throat.
It's tight. Like no words can come out.
Like no words can come out.
Underarm points. When I was in the back seat.
When I was in the backseat.
All right, now Anastasia, stop tapping. Close your eyes in through the nose, belly and back. Nice long exhale. Relax the tongue. Notice those sensations in your throat now. Allow them to be however they need to be. Allow them to feel however they need to feel, but just really, really notice them. Get curious about them. Open yourself up to anywhere else you might feel this in your body or any other details connected with this moment that your body is still hanging on to. See if any of that stuff is still there. And when you're ready and your body's ready, you can open up your eyes and let me know what it shared.
And the throat sensations are gone.
Mhm.
This is gone. So very relaxed. And just like a bit of sadness is left.
Mhm. How do you know you're feeling that sadness? Do you feel that somewhere?
I feel the back of my head on the left side,
Mhm.
like
How's it feel?
kind of like electricity a little bit.
Mhm. Anything else?
And almost as if I could cry.
How do you know you could cry?
Um, my face kind of wants to like like a sad face.
Yeah. Sad face. We'll just use sad face. Anything else?
Mm. I kind of feel like this a little bit.
Like hunched,
Yeah, like a little hunch.
shoulders hunched.
Mhm.
Let's work with those body sensations. Here we go. Even though
Even though
I still have this sense of sadness
I still have the sense of sadness
in the back of my head,
in the back of my head,
on the left side,
and then
like electricity.
electricity,
But I'm allowing my body to feel
and allowing my body to feel
however it needs to feel
however it needs to feel
as it completely releases this.
as it completely releases this.
Even though
Even though
I feel like I could cry,
I feel like I could cry,
like I have a sad face.
I can have a sad face.
But my body is allowed to cry
My body is allowed
if that's what it needs
to, if that's what it means.
to completely release this.
Release this.
Even though
Even though
I can feel my shoulders
I can feel my shoulders
like they're hunched,
like they're hunched,
making me small.
really small.
But I'm letting my shoulders know.
I'm letting my shoulders know.
I'm letting my whole body know
I'm letting my whole body know
that that was then
that that was then.
and this is now.
And this is now.
And I'm strong now.
I'm strong now.
And this no longer serves me.
And this no longer serves.
So I'm asking my body
So I'm asking my body
to completely release it.
to completely release.
Top of the head, but there's this sadness.
But there's a sadness
Eyebrow point in the back of my head.
in the back of my head,
Side eye on the left side.
on the left side,
Under eye. Like electricity.
like electricity.
Under nose. Like I could cry.
Good call.
Under mouth. Sad face.
That
Collarbone points. This sadness.
the sadness.
Shoulders hunched.
Shoulders hunched.
Feeling smaller.
And smaller.
Back of my head.
Back of my head.
Electricity.
Electricity.
Like I could cry.
Good call.
Sad face. Underarm points. This sadness.
Sadness.
Stop tapping and just take a breath and just notice how that all feels right now. We started at a 9. How does that feel in your body now?
So 0 right now.
0? Beautiful. You want to share your experience at all?
Mm,
You don't
uh,
have
yeah, I mean it was great.
to.
Thank you so much. Yeah, felt like a really liberating transformation in my body.
All right, everybody, make sure we give Anastasia some love in the chat and with our reactions. It is not an easy thing to show up and be vulnerable in front of a large group, but thanks to you, Anastasia, and thanks to everybody that tapped along with her, she was able to release something today that she wouldn't have done otherwise. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So thank you so much, Anastasia. Wonderful, wonderful job. And I hope that if you were tapping along, if you check back in on how you were feeling before, I hope that you feel a little different now. And I bet that you probably do. That is the beauty and the power of these group calls, is we get to supercharge some of this healing and release. I'm gonna take some water if anybody else wants to. That would be a good time. Because now we want to do a little integrative breath work. So I've designed a little guided breath work sequence for everybody to do if you feel comfortable. There are going to be 3 phases to the breath work, and the breath work is a beautiful thing to do after tapping because it really helps to integrate these experiences and it gets you really, really in touch with what's going on in your body. So phase 1 is going to be a grounding exercise, like the roots of a bamboo plant. All right, so we're going to get you to feel calm and safer in your body. We're going to do this by inhaling for 4, holding for 2, exhale for 6, hold for 2. The instructions will be in the thing, so you don't have to worry about it at all. You're just going to follow along. We're going to do that about 5 times, so it'll be relatively short. Then we'll move into phase two, where we start to build up some strength in the body. And we're going to do that by doing some external, or do some, sorry, some breath holds. All right, so it's going to be in for 4, and then we're going to hold a little longer. We're going to hold for 4, so we feel that energy and that strength, even though we're empty. Feel that energy and strength, and then we're going to exhale for 6. We're going to start to build a little energy, build a little strength, build that stability from the roots up. And then that will lead to phase three, which is going to be our growth phase. And in this one, we're going to do some rhythmic breathing. We're going to do 4 by 4. So in for 4, out for 4. We're going to do that 20 times to really start to build and stimulate that energy. And then I'm going to invite you to do some extended breath holds. The first one is going to be you're going to do that 20 times, that in for 4, out for 4. You're going to breathe fully in and then fully out. And then you're just going to hold the breath on the exhale. Okay. We're going to be there for 60 seconds. So unless you've done a lot of breath work, you're probably going to need to take a little pause in that. Okay. So find your comfort zone, go one step over, then take a little sip of air in, blow it out, and then continue. After that 60 seconds, you're going to breathe fully in and you're going to hold internal. And this is where you're going to squeeze. All right. You're going to squeeze and visualize all that energy rising up from your pelvis to your stomach to your chest and shooting out the crown of your head. Now, if you want to push it a little bit, you can squeeze your pelvis like you're going to stop yourself from going to the bathroom. You can squeeze your stomach like you're preparing to get punched. You can push your hands together to get that tension in the chest. And you can just really visualize shooting that energy up. We're going to be there for 45 seconds. So if you ever need to take a break during that one, stop, take a break, reduce the tension. You don't want to push yourself too far. Now, if you happen to have any issues related to cardiovascular issues, respiratory conditions, any clinical anxiety, PTSD, or are pregnant or thinking or think you might be, just don't do the breath hold portion. You can still do the rhythmic breathing. That is perfectly, perfectly safe. Nothing is, you don't have to do that. And if the breath holds make you uncomfortable, stop and just return to that rhythmic breathing. That is completely and totally safe for anyone and everyone to do. Mhm. We'll be here for about 9 minutes. All right, so go ahead. You can get yourself comfortable, get yourself situated. Let's do a little breath work together. Let me get my thing. I'm just going to share the sound. I'm doing this with you. And here we go. Find a comfortable seated position with your spine tall but not rigid. Place one hand on your belly and the other on your heart. Begin by simply noticing your breath without changing it. The expansion and contraction of your belly, the rise and fall of your chest, the natural rhythm of your breath. Observe where you might be holding any tension, your jaw, shoulders, stomach. No need to change anything yet, just notice. We'll begin with phase one, a grounding breath to establish presence, calming your nervous system for a sense of safety. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in, 2, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now that you are grounded and safe, we'll move to phase 2, introducing internal breath retention to build hollow strength, teaching your nervous system that you can experience discomfort without immediate reaction, allowing you to break both perfectionist and procrastination patterns. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And finally, we'll introduce some rhythmic breathing followed by extended breath holds to cultivate the energy needed for action from an authentic place of safety and calm. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. 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 In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, When you pause the breath, you pause your life. This empty lung breath hold creates a moment of productive emptiness like the hollow center of bamboo that gives it both strength and flexibility, creating the potential for new growth. If you feel the need to breathe, override that first sensation going just past your comfort zone. If necessary, take a sip of air in, exhale, and then continue. Now breathe fully in and hold at the top of your breath. Squeeze that energy up from your pelvis to your stomach, through your chest, and shoot it out the crown of your head. You can squeeze your perineum muscles, tense your stomach, push your hands together, sending that energy shooting out the top of your head. Push yourself just past your comfort zone, but no further. Take a breath if necessary, and then continue, or return to natural breathing. And release, and return to normal breathing. Take this opportunity to send your body the message that I accept my perfectly imperfect self. I can take imperfect action, or any other messages that you would like to internalize. And notice how your body feels now compared to when you began. This state of balanced activation is available to you anytime you find yourself caught in perfectionism or procrastination. When ready, open your eyes. Notice something close to you. Notice something across the room. And welcome back. Right. Recording of that will be in the resource sheet if you ever choose to revisit it, if you found that experience helpful. It's not uncommon to be tired, Shelley. It's probably your nervous system releasing and relaxing. So if you're feeling tired, good for you. All right. That's what you want. If you're yawning, that's beautiful. That's the nervous system relaxing and releasing as well. Now, that's it for the content of what I'm going to provide today, but I want you to know that the intention of these calls is to have this experience, to realize something, to release something, but we want to put that into practice every day. All right. So I've got three different ideas that you might use to help marry a new behavior pattern with whatever you manage to release today. Okay. Now, the first one I've talked about a lot, so I'm not going to bore you with it too much, but if you're experiencing things related to procrastination, it's really helpful to establish a tiny habit of working towards that goal every single day. The book is Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg. The main crux of it is that there's an ABC of behaviors. So we want to think about an anchor moment. What is a time in your day that is already connected to something that you already do that would provide you with 5, 10, 15 minutes afterwards to do something very short connected to something that you want to accomplish? That's your anchor moment. Then you want to link a behavior with that. Whatever you're working towards, what is the absolute tiniest thing that you could do every day, that you could guarantee that you would do every day, related to whatever it is you're working on. And we want it to be tiny and little. Because the more you repeat that behavior every day, the more it's going to stay in your consciousness, and then the more it's going to grow throughout your day. So it's okay to keep it small. Now, you're allowed to do more if you want to, but what's your non-negotiable, tiny, tiny, tiny thing? That it's so little that you would just feel silly if you didn't do it. And this is the tricky part. This is the hardest part. The hardest part is celebrating that tiny behavior. How are you going to make yourself feel good about that? Training your body that this action towards this goal is a good thing. It's a safe thing. You might have something you say. There might be some type of physical movement you do. You might like have some sort of energy. Connect it with something that makes you feel good and celebrate that thing. It's better to vote often than to vote in one big chunk, all right? So we want series of tiny, 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 building that up, and then you can allow yourself to go longer. But that's going to be far more effective towards overcoming procrastination problems with little teeny tiny actions every single day. Now, the next behavior design concept I want to give you an idea to think about is what I call environmental friction. So think about where you're going to work on whatever it is that you're working on. What is the exact environment? And I want you to think about what can you have continually set up in this area? It just stays set up. So if you were going to run every morning, maybe you'd have your clothes laid out the night before and your shoes right by the door. If you were going to work on a certification program, perhaps, you know, can you make the course page your startup page? So as soon as you start your computer, that's the first thing you see. So you want to reduce all environmental friction towards you engaging in that behavior. And then there's a second part to this. Here's the dark side of it. Think about what you usually do to distract yourself when you instead of doing this thing. And how can you make that harder? You know, mine, like everybody else's, is the phone. So if I have to put the phone in the other room. So then I have to feel like a real idiot. I have to stand up, walk into the other room and get my phone, knowing the whole time that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. Now, if it's right next to me, like boom, it's right there. Like I don't even think about it. And all of a sudden I'm playing backgammon. Okay. But if it's in the other room, I have to stand up and actually go and do it. I'm far less likely to do that. So what typically stops you and how can you make that difficult? And then the final concept I'd like to share with you today is called success scaffolding. Success scaffolding. So if you are typically a procrastinator, how can you visually track your progress towards a goal over time? Visual and physical tend to help. It's like the 80s workout montage. They're always Xing off dates on the calendar. I'm sure you can do it any other way you want to, but like, how can you physically track that so you can see your progress and feel your progress? Now, if you're a perfectionist, that's not going to help you, but this might. Before you start on a project, can you write down the predefined criteria for success? What does success look like? And write that down. So that way, when you get towards the end and you've hit all those criterias and you want to make one more change, you can remember that perhaps that's your perfectionistic pattern and you can engage in some tapping, some breath work, or some polyvagal activities, calm your nervous system, and then decide if that one more edit is appropriate. Okay. And no, Anastasia, 9 minutes isn't a minimum for this type of thing. Like Those are three different breathwork techniques. You know, I will use like one of those. Like, so if I'm feeling calm, I'll just take one of those breaths. If I'm really freaking out, then maybe I'll get one of my guided MP3s and like go sit down for 10 minutes. But you don't have to just, there's not a minimum, it's just the breath work is like your remote control for your autonomic nervous system. You just learn different ways to change the channel. And sometimes you need a longer session. And that was a really short by breathwork standards. I mean, 9 minutes, like they're just laughing at me. Like these people like to do like 3 hour things. So, but in the interest of time, I want to make sure that we get everybody in and out of here. Mhm. All right. So think about what behavior, what thing you might be able to do to implement this, and feel free to use the resources and the techniques that we did. So if breath work helps you, figure out a time to put that into your day. If the polyvagal thing helped, figure out a time to do that. If the behavior design things helped, figure out which one of those things makes the most sense for you and personalize it. I want you to think like like a scientist. If a scientist experiment fails, they don't say I'm a bad scientist. They say there's something wrong with the experiment and they change one of the variables. Perfectionism and procrastination is not a character flaw. It's an autonomic nervous system reaction to not feeling unsafe. All right. It's not your fault, but it is yours. And now it's time to do something about it. And I hope that the content of this call helped you do that. Now, on the resource sheet, there's going to be the steps for the authentic self reset. There's going to be the tapping script that we went through. There's going to be that 9 minute breathwork MP3. You can listen to that and do that whenever you want to. And it's going to have those behavior design ideas to remind you. It's also going to have a way to contact me. Like you have a quick question about anything, send me an email. If you had something bigger come up connected to those origins or belief patterns that you want to explore and talk about and see what EFT and breathwork could do for you, sign up and meet with me for free for 30 minutes. It'll be in your inbox at about 9 o'clock Central Time tonight, so you don't have to do anything. It's just going to show up. There's also going to be a link to sign up for next month's event. I've decided to do these for the rest of 2025. So I'm going to do, it's going to always be the first Sunday of the month at the same time. That new link is going to enable you to sign up for any and all of those calls. So you can sign up for one, sign up for none, sign up for all of them. You can invite a friend. Uh, in July, we're going to work on comparisons and fear of missing out and comparing ourselves to others because it is July, it is summer season. See all the pictures on social media of all these people, these wonderful vacations. I mean, last year I spent 3 weeks going around the Philippines and Taiwan. This year we may go to Michigan. So like I might I might be doing this for myself. You never know. Uh, and also like, it's just all kind of the summer, you're out with people, there's a lot of social pressure, there's a lot of social comparisons, a lot of all that stuff. So I thought that would be a nice topic. So that's what we're going to work on in July. I don't know what we're going to work on after that. You got any good ideas, you let me know. All right. I'm going month by month here. All right. There is a link for donations. This is part of my commitment to do this to offer free resources to people for their better mental health and overall performance and how they feel about themselves. But it does take an awful lot of time to put all these things together. So if you got value out of this and you would like to donate, you are certainly welcome to. You are not required to. And if you are under any financial constraints, please don't send me any money. All right. Because that is not, I wouldn't feel good about that at all. Conduct a self-care behavior design experiment related to one of these patterns that we talked about. Remember, be flexible, be short, and be consistent. And as always, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for participating. Special thanks to Anastasia, the star of our show today. So being vulnerable and working through those patterns was a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, with that, I am 17 minutes over. I've got to work on my time management, but I thought everything was fun and everything was very helpful. So, if we have to go a little over, we go a little over. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, everybody. Thank you for being here, and I hope to see you and maybe a friend next month, first Sunday in July at 6 p.m. Central Time. All right, reach out to me if you got anything. All right, bye-bye,
Thank
everybody.
you. This
Thank
was
you, Kurt. This is
wonderful.
awesome.
Thank you so much,
Awesome.
Kurt.
Thank you.
Peace
Bye-bye.
and blessings, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Kurt.